Hey guys, Chris from Tillman Family Farms. It's Friday and it's raining and trying to find something to do. And I can almost guarantee that you guys are out there kind of laughing and saying, I knew he couldn't fix that thing, but you may have almost been right. So this was our first attempt and man, we thought we were doing good. We thought we were making progress. I had a friend of mine that was giving me some tips with some sheet metal stuff and we thought we had this thing nailed down, and then as I got to looking at it, I was like, oh my Lord, I was like, water's just gonna run in this thing everywhere, and it's kind of lopsided and all sorts of stuff. So we are currently taking it back apart. We have a little bit different idea. We're gonna be a little bit more precise with our measurements, and we've got a couple of other pieces of steel over here. No, not a mess. And we will see if we can't make this thing a little bit better than what it is and see if we can't get it in service in the next week or so. All right, so we got it all taken back apart. And what we were noticing when the first time that we tried to put this thing together was that all of these fingers that the doors flop to, they were kind of bent up and out of whack. And when we put it together the first time, that affected the bottom of it and how we did it. So basically, we have taken this level right here and we've gone from each one, and then we're gonna go across them like so. And we've done that all the way around. I'm not looking for perfection, but I'm looking for it to be a whole lot closer than what it was so that we have a whole lot better base to start with. All right guys, so one of the things that we realized the last time was that this was the top of the piece that we cut. This was cut at an angle on machine. I had the guy from the HVAC shop that does ductwork cut this, and then we realized it was too big, so we tried to cut it down. Well, this line that we drew was extremely crooked and it just wasn't very good. So what we've done is we've taken a speed square and we drilled a hole in the top of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, put it right here, and I'll be able to draw myself a straight line by putting the marker in there and then moving it along the edge. Kind of can't do it with two hands like that, but once my lovely wife that's holding the camera can help me, that's what we'll do. But basically, marker goes in there and this will just slide on the edge of it, and I'll make a nice line that way, and I'll be able to cut it out. And if there is any little imperfections or anything like that, we'll be able to kind of straighten them up a little bit. All right guys, so I got a little bit carried away, but I'm going to catch you up real quick. So once I got this piece on, this piece here on all the way around, I went in between every one of my ears where the doors close on this thing, and I had to make a cut all the way up, and then basically I folded this piece over this piece to close it in. So once I did that, you can kind of see there what I'm talking about. But I put 3 rivets in it all the way around, and that closed it down to the size that this top was cut for. Now what I've done is I found the center right there, and then I used another piece and I measured, and I wanted an inch overhang, so I drew a circle all the way around. I put a screw, and I had another piece of metal out here measured, and then I did the same thing. I drilled a hole in it and I put my marker through it, and then I just drug it all the way around. Then after that, I went around and I measured 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches all the way around. And then I just painstakingly cut all of these dovetails with that pair of 10 snips, and my little office boy hands, working an office every day and then farm on the afternoons and weekends, but my little office boy hands are going to be blistered all up from all that. But anyway, you can see as I'm dovetailing it over, I will be putting 2 rivets per dovetail all the way around. And this thing, man, it's a whole lot more level this time and all kind of stuff. So so far so good. I still have the cone that I cut out of the original bottom that I'm going to before I attach this, I'm gonna fiberglass the cone on the inside of this in the middle so that it will disperse the feed as it flows down. And I got some other pieces that I'm going to cut and put in there for supports from the body of it to this bottom. So far so good. Just thought I'd catch you up. All right, guys, so it got a little late yesterday, so we're picking up today. The rain is gone, and this was something that we had going on. So if you can tell here, I have all the dovetails cut and everything is bent over, and we are fitting up pretty old good there. In each one of these, I will get 2 rivets each, all the way around. Trying to put this thing together where it's going to last a pretty decent amount of time for us. And there's a couple other things. I've got to get the cone put on the inside of that. I picked up a fiberglass kit this morning. I figured that's probably gonna be the best way to attach it without putting a bunch of holes in the bottom. Then when it's over with, this whole entire bottom is gonna get fiberglass around it, and then it'll get I think I'm gonna use a bed liner coating on it. Anyhow, let me take this bottom off real quick and show you how I'm making the brackets for the inside of it. I had to change that a little bit because the material that I had for it, started to use last night, was not exactly what I needed. So hang tight for just a sec. All right, so this piece that you see here laying on top, I had several of these and I put some holes in them, and I was gonna take them on the inside here and put a couple bolts in them to about the same level. And when I did that, I measured out and I marked the end here, and when I went to bend them over, it's pot metal and it just broke. So I was like, oh my goodness, what can I do now? So I did have a little bit more tin, and this is the first one that I've done. So what I did was I took it and I bent it over like that, and I split it at the top so that I could mold this through here. I took a hammer and I opened my vise as wide as I could and just kind of bent it through the middle there so that it would go through with the curvature there. And when we get the lid back on it, I'll be able to put some probably some rivets into here, but it's just for support for the bottom of it and to give it support to the bigger part of the structure here. All right, next step. I got all 3 of those supports put in there. And the next step is, this is the inside, right? So there was a cone on the inside of the original one. Let me show you the cone. So I've taken this cone, so it was all rusted up. I cut it out of the bottom of the other one as best I could. I know it doesn't look like it very well, but I ran a grinder all over this thing and knocked as much rust off of it as I could, and I just sprayed it with a primer that neutralizes rust. And once that dries, I will clean the bottom of it and clean the bottom edge of the cone with acetone, and I will be using a fiberglass kit to fiberglass it into the middle of that, and with several coats of that, so that I don't have to put any holes in the bottom of this thing. And even my things in here, I may have said earlier that I was going to run some screws in them, but I am not. I am going to use epoxy on all of those and then glue it basically. And then of course all of my dovetails will have rivets in it, and then more fiberglass. This has turned into one heck of a project, but like we talked about before in the first video, these things are about 2,500 bucks. And so far, between fiberglass and the metal and things like that, 100 bucks maybe? Yeah, 100 bucks or so. So a little bit of work, but that's all right. I'm learning new things, and it's all right. So I like learning new things and working with stuff. So we'll see how it turns out. All right, so I learned really quick that I am not a fiberglass guy. This was a bit more challenging than what I thought. I did take the instructions very seriously and read them. This stuff has about a 2-hour dry time, and I'm gonna tell you what, I caked it on there. So I drew my circle out in the middle, same way I cut out, or actually same way that I drew the circle out for the dovetails. Got it on there This does not have to look pretty, but this is where the feed will be dispersed out into the bottom of the pan and pushed out more closer to where they'll actually be eaten from. So this is going to have to dry for a while. I have to take the sander back to it and all that stuff. So I very well may let this dry overnight before I do anything else to this thing. After that, I mean, it's more or less just a matter of getting it flipped over and drilling 11,700 holes in all these dovetails to get rivets in. So that should be really fun. But anyhow, I may cut this off for right now and let it dry and come back in the morning and get after it and try to get it finished, put back together. All right, it's the next morning of a build that has turned into a lot more than what I ever expected it to be. Anyhow, this thing is hard as a rock. I obviously understood the instructions. So I'm fixing to take a sander with some 80 grit to this thing and get it knocked down pretty good. And then I've got some paint that I am going to paint over this thing. And after that, I'll be flipping it back over and start trying to attach it to the bottom there. Turned out pretty good. All right, there it is. I scuffed it up and painted it with a Rust-Oleum gloss black, just something I had. I might put another coat on it, but I got one other thing to do on the inside of this feeder before I can start trying to attach this, so I'm gonna go take care of that real quick. All right, so what I had left on the inside here, this piece was originally in here somehow. It was all rusted out. It was just barely attached. But at one time, it was able to move up and down and control the rate of flow of the feed going into the trough at the bottom. I'm going to have to attach it. So I'm going to go out there to one of my other feeders and look and see about how high off of it is. It's rusted in a couple of places, right there. So I may have some issues. I may have some feed purging out of the side and causing a little too much, but I'm going to try to attach it at about where I feel like it should be. And we'll just have to go from there. Well, I have drilled and riveted the 11,700 holes all the way around here. And for the most part, looks like it turned out pretty good. I am about to flip it over and sit it on its bottom for the first time on a solid bottom in no telling how long. So we'll see how it turns out. Still got a lot of work to do. I'm gonna use some kitty hair Bondo, which is Bondo with fiberglass in it, all the way around on the dovetails there, and then it will get fiberglassed in. So I don't know that I'm going to do video on all that. This is probably going to be a long video anyway, but I'm about to flip it over and see what we got. All right, so here it is. I still have a little work to do on the doors, a little bit here and there. For the most part, this bad boy is done. This has been a really, really long project. Did it one time, didn't turn out very well. Decided that I wanted to do it again because I wanted to last as long as possible. Saved a lot of money on this project. Even when I get done with the bottom and coating it and all that stuff, I'm gonna have about $200 in this project. A little bit of know-how, a little bit of patience, which I did not have the first time around. It's all done now, and we'll be able to put it in service here probably next week. I'll finish up the coating, the bottom, and all that stuff this week, throughout the week in the afternoons. But after that, man, this bad boy's done, and I am glad to be done with this project. This one was a pain in the butt. Very well might not take on a project like this again. But anyhow, guys, thanks for watching. If you like things like this, we do this kind of craziness all the time. So subscribe if you haven't, and follow along, and we'll be back with more videos. Thanks for watching.